What is going on with the real estate market? There's so many negative headlines out there, which if you're a buyer, makes it really difficult to decide whether you should be buying now or maybe waiting a few months later, maybe wait until next year or even 2 years from now. In this video, we're going to be exploring important data points in order to help you understand what's kind of going on, and also hopefully provide you with information so that you can make the right decision for you and your family. If you're new to this channel, my name is Katrin.pfitzenreiter. I'm a local real estate agent here in Sarasota, Florida, and this channel is all about real estate and Florida related information. If that sounds interesting to you, subscribe, and well, let's get right into this video. So how have prices changed over the last few months? There's been so much talk of a real estate market crash, but let's look at prices and see how they fared. And for that, we're going to tap into Redfin's data. They have data from local multiple listing services, and here's a graph which shows the median sales price in all of Redfin's metros, right? The black line here is 2022, the blue line here is 2019, and I'm going to compare some things to the blue line 2019 because I think it's a good year to compare things to, because 2020 and 2021 were bit odd of a year because of COVID. So when we look at 2022, which is highlighted again in black, the peak was 395K. That was the peak median sales price this year, and it dropped down to 381K towards the end of July. That's a 3.5% price drop. You know, prices fluctuate throughout the year. They don't work in a straight line. And so this example that I wanted to pull out is 2019. In the beginning of 2019, the prices actually dropped and then went back up again. And along the way, it peaked and then went back down again. We're experiencing a price drop because of the interest rates haven't gone up. Consumer confidence is way low. Everybody thinks we're headed towards a market crash. Your buyers are just waiting to see what happens. And then also listings, new listings came to the market. What I wanted to point out is the new listings chart here. Black line again is 2022, blue line is 2019. In the beginning of the year, we were actually below 2019 when it comes to new listings to the market. But then it started taking a turn right around April into May and June. And that to me is just indicative that there was a mad rush from sellers of getting new listings up in the market to take advantage of the market that was just about to change, right? So not just buyers were fearful of the market changing, but so were sellers. I believe that the next few months are going to be so crucial in helping to understand what the trend line is going to look like moving towards the end of the year into next year. And so if you're somebody that's looking to purchase, but you're just not confident in the real estate market right now, give yourself another 2 or 3 months and look at the data to better understand where the market is headed. I personally don't believe that the market is going to crash, and I'm actually going to talk about why that is in this next section, where we look at major headlines and industry data. But unfortunately, we don't have a crystal ball, and nobody really knows for sure. So you need to be confident in whatever decision you make. What I wanted to point out is this article from CNBC, which came out yesterday, August 8th. And the headline is, Consumer Confidence in the Housing Market Hits the Lowest Point in over a decade. And I would say I absolutely agree with that, just based on the conversations that I'm having with buyers, with a lot of you out there. They're hoping that the real estate market is going to come crashing down. They're truly believing it because they're thinking, well, how can prices come up so high when it looks like we're heading into a recession? Inflation is really high, mortgage rates have come up, and the wages and the salaries just aren't keeping up. Well, when it comes to the real estate market, it really falls down to supply and demand, and that's what's causing the prices that we're seeing in the marketplace. And right now there's still enough demand and not enough supply to keep the prices relatively level. Now, of course, real estate needs to be looked at on a local level, and in certain areas you might actually see prices coming down. What I want to point out is this official graph from the White House, and what it shows here is the housing supply and prices. The dark line here, that is supply, and the light blue line here is prices. And what you see is as supply goes up, prices come down. And this is why I'm saying that when it comes to prices in the real estate market, it really comes down to supply and demand. So let's look at 2021 and past that. You see the supply line here, it's at a historic low. And what happened, of course, we all know the prices have shot up, especially over the last few years. Now, for the market to level out, or for the market to experience price drops, one of two things need to happen here. Demand needs to drop off, or we need to add more homes to the marketplace while demand stays steady. Let's talk a little bit about supply. What I wanted to point out is this article here. This is from June 15th of this year, NPR article, and the headline is, "The U.S. needs more homes, but builders may be slowing construction." And that is because they're probably pulling back as we're moving into a possible recession. Inflation isn't helping this. So they're making sure that from a business standpoint, they're moving in the right direction to counterbalance a potential recession, so cutting costs, right? Now, this is not helping the supply issue that we're already dealing with. As I'm scrolling down in this article here, this is interesting. The U.S. is about 4 million homes short of what's needed to keep up with demand. 4 million, according to Freddie Mac. And a lot of articles are saying that it could take 5 to 10 years to kind of rectify the supply and demand challenge. Of course, a lot of this is dependent upon demand. If it falls off, then supply, based on what we currently have, is going to go much further because there's less people to satisfy. But here is where the challenge comes in. There's a generational group called millennials, and it's the largest generation that we have in terms of the number of people in that generation versus all the other generations like baby boomers. The average age of them is about 30 to 32 years old. Most of them are renters, so they're becoming first-time home buyers. And in a lot of cases, it may make more sense for them to purchase versus rent. And they're going to be putting additional pressure on the demand side here. And so when we talk about a possible market crash, I just, based on the data that I'm reviewing, the market forecast, just don't see it happening I don't see it happening this year or next year. Let's look at a projection from Fannie Mae. So it's an article from Fannie Mae. It dates back to July 20th, so not that long ago. And the headline here is, "Economic growth stagnating as record inflation persists." That is true. Now, what's interesting though is that they're still projecting a price increase this year versus same time last year. So let's read what they're saying here. They revised upward its home price appreciation forecast to 16% year-over-year growth in 2022 from the previously projected 10.8%. And they're also expecting there to be a slight price increase in 2023. We just looked at the real estate market from a macro perspective to have a general idea of what's going on in the housing market, but you also have to take a very local perspective because not all markets are going to be reacting the same way. So for example, if you look at the Phoenix market, I know for sure that the prices are down based on the recent analysis that I've done. Wherever you're shopping for a house, make sure that you connect with an agent and have them pull a recent trend analysis for that specific market. And they can actually drill as deep down as by zip code or by neighborhood. What I'm going to do now is show you what's happening in the Sarasota market in order to provide you with a local example. We're going to look at what is happening in Sarasota when you're looking at the singles family home market. So let's go down to the average and median sales price. I typically like to focus on the median, which is kind of the middle of the pack price, because that average sales price can be heavily skewed because of major multi-million-dollar homes. Think of the $10 to $20 million homes that get sold. But even if we look at both of them, right? So here, if we look at the blue line, that's the average sales price. The median sales price is in green. When we look at these two, the prices have not dropped. As a matter of fact, it's higher in July than it was in June. Average sales price in July was close to $700,000. When we look at the median, it was $500,000 in July, and in June, it was close to $493,000. Now, when we look at the sales price, list price, what this is basically telling us is that the prices are not selling at list price. I mean, slightly below that. And so you're seeing a lot of price adjustments in the market, right, across the United States, and that also holds true here in Sarasota. Sellers need to go through a little bit of an adjustment period here, understanding that the market is changing. It's not what it was in January or February of this year, so you can't go crazy on your list prices on homes. And so the price reductions in many cases are based on the fact that they had to come down to fair market value, which is really based on recent comps. The average sales price per square foot hasn't dropped. And so that's one of the reasons why I'm saying that the price cuts are really based on the fact that the homes were being priced too high initially. What do you feel is going to happen in the real estate market in the next year or 2 years? Leave us a comment in the comment section. Thank you so much for tuning in. Now, if you're somebody that's interested in real estate in Sarasota, Manatee County, I would love to team up with you. You can call me, email me anytime. Thanks again for watching today. Take care.